How would you guys feel if you couldn't beat the boss in a video game or a good book is drawn out because the villain is ultra powerful and invincible? I can say that it's a not so great feeling. Every good character is going to have a weakness, and in my opinion, I think full immortality is quite lame. Immortality means that there's nothing that can beat them, and the closest thing that can happen is a draw. Keepers are ageless, practically immortal. However, there are limitations to their lifespan, and that's what I'm going to be discussing today. In the last Moonkeeper Explained video, I mentioned heart deficiencies. To recap, if keepers are born in a world that they shouldn't inhabit, they are likely to be born with a heart deficiency. Keepers are born with 2 hearts, one in their chest and one attached to their stomach. The regular heart in the chest is what keeps the body functioning like a normal person. The one attached to their stomach, which is very minuscule, controls their abilities. This is a far-off comparison, but think of the Owl House and how witches have their magic. The bile sac is attached to their heart, which is kind of just the same concept, except this heart is attached to their stomach, as I've mentioned. So, a regular keeper without a heart deficiency will thrive, and they won't succumb to human illness or injury. However, heart deficiencies result in the stomach's heart to improperly work. It's basically just an air pocket. Heart deficiencies leave keepers to be vulnerable to human sickness and injury, unlike regular keepers. Got pneumonia, could die, burned in a fire, could die, broken several ribs, could die. It's also important to mention that trauma affects heart-deficient keepers more greatly than their counterparts. Some animals can die from fear, such as rabbits or birds. Keepers won't necessarily die from fear per se, but heart-deficient keepers are dealt damage to their souls through additional traumatic stress, which can then lead to stress-related illness, and, the list goes on. To simplify it, keepers with heart deficiencies, look at them as ageless humans with superhuman capabilities, but they can still pass on due to their human-like bodies. Something that I want to note if you're studying the Moonkeeper world, a leopard, the way a keeper's soul is hardwired or connected to themselves is based on whether or not they have a heart deficiency. Heart-deficient keepers are going to have heart-deficient souls. They feel pain and they suffer. Meanwhile, regular keeper souls experience this too, but it's much less. In the instance of Tara, she died in a very unusual and uncommon way, but it was due to Hunter's heart deficiency. In episode 20 of season 1, Ash switched their souls, which, like I've tried to make clear, is their lifelines. Hunter acquired half a non-heart deficient soul, which is like getting IV fluids. It feels phenomenal. Tara, though, received half of a heart deficient soul with major damage. This affected her body's ability to function. If you have any questions for comprehension, please feel free to ask in the comments. Okay, so we've been talking about heart deficiencies forever now. I think it's time to talk about some other things, because there's more than just heart deficiencies that play in a keeper's lifespan. There's the 7 sacred weapons. When these weapons are used, they deal bodily damage to the keepers being attacked, and it affects the second heart's ability to function, ultimately turning them mortal, then killing them permanently. The majority of these weapons come from Abaddon. These weapons were originally from Terra Violentium, but they have dispersed into Levante's land. The weapons are a knife, sword, cannon, longbow, reusable bomb, scythe, and the sorcerer's staff, which is the one exception to not being created by Abaddon himself. And to understand, these weapons are one of a kind. There's nothing else that can do the same damage as these. All keepers know about them, and they are avoided, because one good hit and you are done for. We often see Solomon carrying around the knife. Demetrius used it on Hunter in the finale of season 1. Not like it really mattered though, because Hunter has a heart deficiency, therefore a regular knife would have done the same exact thing. The sword is still locked away where it's supposed to be in Terra Violentium. Keep in mind, all of these other than the staff have been stolen from Terra Violentium. The sword's just the only one that's still there. The Canon and Longbow were stolen by unknown individuals. They are currently nowhere to be found. However, we might be learning about that soon. Maybe, can't say. As for the reusable bomb, which is a technological advancement that Keepers surprisingly have, that is currently being used in warfare on Levante. Yep, there is constant wars. It's a political fight related to who should be the righteous ruler of the land, believe it or not, but there are several pro-Demetrius supporters, and more Keepers support Demetrius than you guys would think. The most powerful weapon that was created by this mystery man, Abaddon, was the Scythe. Cronus used the Scythe on Hunter in episode 1 of season 1, but we all know Cronus. He didn't go very deep because he's a very compassionate soul. We also saw a younger version of him use it in episode 9. This weapon is powerful due to how dangerous it is. Only Death Keepers can wield this. If a Moon Keeper were to try to use it, they would face more harm than their opponent. And that doesn't go for just Moon Keepers, by the way. It could be Fate Keepers, Health Keepers, War Keepers, Love Keepers. Literally anything that's not a Death Keeper can't use the Scythe without getting damage back. And the best way to explain it is Fairy Tail. It's an anime, if you guys have seen it. Loxus uses his Thunder Palace, and basically every time a wizard tries to damage this Thunder Palace, they get bodily damage in return. It's like, if you attack this, you're also gonna get damaged. Okay, so just remember, Death Keepers are the only ones that can use the Scythe, and that's due to scripture magic that's also on there. It's basically like coding type of magic, where like, it's basically written in the codes, only Death Keepers can use this, anyone else gets hurt. Moving on. The other great weapon that we've seen is the Sorcerer's Staff. It's the only one of the sacred weapons that Abaddon hadn't made, like I've said. Demetrius tried to destroy the moon with it in episode 2, season 1, and then far later we see it again in the season 1 finale. Like sorcerers, the staff absorbs energy from the moon. At the top we see a crystal, which is supposed to be the same concept of Hunter's Orb, which I already discussed in a previous video. Recently, I've come to a realization that there is a crazy loop in the Moonkeeper world. There is a keeper for virtually anything to exist. Without said keeper, that thing won't exist. Ergo, there also has to be keepers. If all keepers were to die, there's two options. Either a new one will generate because keepers exist everywhere, and if something exists, a keeper exists for it, or all keepers will die because the keeper subspecies of all keepers is dead.